2, 1, here we go. Bam.
Buying or finding a new home should not be stressful or boring. With over 14 years experience, Good Time Tommy has spent his time building strategies, tips, and content that will help you, the new homeowner or seasoned homeowner, get the best deal for your money. Educate, navigate, and celebrate. Because whether you're buying or selling, you're going to get more traffic to your property promotion on every channel, and watch as Tommy and his team work until you are satisfied. Your new home awaits you with Good Time Tommy and his team. Subscribe, like, and follow at GoodTimeTommy.com. That's GoodTimeTommy.com.
Huh?
I got blank. There we go. Hey.
Hey. Just call aloha. Is it time? Are we live? So I can go ahead and get this show started. Let's get it started. Stevie Z.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I think our camera's crooked.
It is. No, we're in this one, Weatherman. What is that one over there? What is that one over there? Hey, we're just getting started, kids. We're trying to figure all this stuff out. Ooh, get jiggy with it. Hey, Brian Bell, thank you for getting on here. Brian Bell, thank you so much, Bravo Technologies, for helping us get this set up. Kevin Davis, cheese. Thank you for joining us today in studio. I don't know where Cousin Charlie went. Every Wednesday, 1 o'clock, me and my sidekick, a.k.a. the Weatherman.
Hey, why to be so pretty, I'm being blocked out by your teeth.
Stand up, Shorty. Stand up, Shorty.
Wants to see me.
What you got? The voices. Hey, you can speak up, buddy. We're doing tests. We're testing this out. It's okay. Weatherman, hey, every Wednesday, 1 o'clock, Real Estate 101 comes to you. That's 1 o'clock Central Standard Time from the Good Time Tommy Facebook page. So if you are new, if you have never seen this, somehow we have ended up on your feed. Would you do me a favor?
Can I ask them?
Yeah.
Would you please share and please like? And if they do, what happens?
If you like the stream, if you like Good Time Tommy, if you share, we will go back and we'll find one person that has shared this, and we will reward you with an Alley on Main gift card worth $25. Alley on Main, Murfreesboro is my favorite place to eat lunch.
Ooh, I
or
love
dinner.
that chicken parmesan.
Weatherman, who are we giving a shout out to?
Hey, we're going to go with our good buddy, since you already popped him up here, the Big Kahuna, because we already had a kind of little commercial for him this week. So guys, we're going to do 2 this week. We want to thank the Big Kahuna. Guys, as the fall weather's coming in and you're starting to get that little chill, which, hey, if you're a big boy like me, you don't get it till it gets to about 32. But, hey, if you need to come out there and service your units, give Shane Ray, the Big Kahuna, a shout. And, guys, we also want to thank our buddy with Farm Bureau, Roy Frazier, for always chiming in, contributing, being a great friend and great counselor, and taking care of all of our clients' needs. So if you need insurance, call Roy Frazier at Farm Bureau.
And we did a post today for the Big Kahuna, Shane Ray. I think he's got a guarantee. If you do not have the best clean job, he'll come back and do it for free. Is that what he said? Is that what it is? Something like that?
Yes, and it's up to you all. Right now, the voices are not matching your lips, so we can either stop and just go live from your phone, or
How's that calling? I got it on Do Not Disturb.
So we look like we're
Johnny in a fight.
one of those old Chinese
What do you
movies.
think happened? What do you think caused that?
fix it later, but
Yeah, let's just, hey, it's 1 o'clock. It's Real Estate 101. It does not matter. So we're just going
We
to go
go
ahead.
on regardless.
We're going to have to go ahead. And here's the reason why, because maybe Facebook runs behind. I don't know if that's, I don't know what it doesn't matter. I mean, I wonder if it's going to affect us if we were to boost the video.
we can stop and just go live.
We can't stop it, kid. Can't stop it.
How far off are we from my talking to hearing me?
10 seconds.
Ooh.
No, I mean, so our mouth, let me see it.
Your mouth is talking, but it's not
No, are you talking about me live here on here? Or are you talking about what you're seeing?
I'm sorry, viewers.
Yeah.
Hey, this is brand new. You ought to see all the technology we got.
Man,
We're doing
hey.
this for you, folks.
We're doing it. So, hey, everybody.
See there?
Somebody took my do not disturb off. All right, let's get going. Okay, so today, here's what we're talking about. This is a very, very common problem that we're seeing. So I'm going to go ahead and set the stage for what we're experiencing right now in the real estate market. Right now, there's limited inventory. It's pushing prices up. It's also pushing up what buyers have to do to get the home. Once they buy the home, there's a lot of uncertainty that comes back after the home inspection.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where they really, really are controlled by emotions. It's where they start second guessing. They start thinking, should I buy this house? Should I ask for every single thing on the list to get inspected? No matter if it's one thing or 500 things, I just want them all fixed. So here's where the job of the realtor really, really gets challenging, is regulating these emotions, navigating through this process. So keep this in mind. It's never fair to tell a friend what they should ask for on a home inspection, because there's more to it than that. What if you got a really good deal on the house? The sellers probably aren't going to be willing to do anything. If you pay top dollar, you're probably more justified to ask for more of the repairs to be done. So, Weatherman, what is your input on this?
I think it's like anything. Whenever you first buy a house, the emotions are excitement. You love the house. It's just like a brand new girlfriend. Hey, you want to show her off to all your friends, and then boom. And then all of a sudden you do this home inspection, and then you see all this stuff that comes along with her. So a lot of times that's where the emotions kick in. Now, a realtor's job really should warn them up front. Most of the stuff you see on a house, you're going to see on every house. The really big issue for home inspections, in my opinion, as a realtor, is to make sure the house you're buying at the price you're buying it is okay with the situation that's going on in the house. Now, there's what they call a property condition disclosure that nobody ever pays attention to. It tells you that unit is 12 years old. Well, guess what happens when you do a home inspection with a 12-year-old unit? They say, hey, it's at the end of its life expectancy. We kind of knew that on the front end, but this is where Tommy was talking about those emotions come back in.
So you're bringing up a good point. You need to kind of know exactly what you're getting into when you buy the house. And I'm going to be honest. A lot of times in the past, not anymore, but in the past, I wouldn't even really pull out that old property condition disclosure.
Don't pay no attention to it.
Wouldn't pay any attention to it. And I really, you know what? I think it should be the listing agent's job whenever they are negotiating to make sure, hey, you need to look. You're buying this house at the price we're agreeing to. You're also agreeing to this. That heating and air unit's 8 years old or 10 years old or 11 years old. Don't come in here after we've negotiated this and say that's on its last leg. So I do think listing agents could do a better job of going through that and making sure they understand. But here's what I was telling my girl Kathleen and maybe cousin Charlie. Whenever you're looking for a home, Stevie Zavisa, whenever you're setting your parameters and you're going through it and you're not ready to make the decision, you're searching, you're shopping, you're looking with logic. Okay? Once you find the home that you want, it becomes very emotional. It moves so fast. As a matter of fact, Weatherman, you could live in a home. Mm-hmm. Me and you personally, we could live in our personal home, and as the seller of our personal home, the report could come back and we would be, man, there ain't nothing wrong with this house. We ain't fixing that. We could take our seller hat off, which means we no longer own the current house.
What hat we put on?
We're putting on our buyer home. Now we're going to buy the same home that previously we were talking about where you already owned it, and we might see something that concerns us. Same home, same report. So it's really a slanted view, a perspective of the buyer versus the seller.
Right. And it happens a lot. We went through this week, and it's amazing that even as realtors, you see some things on a home inspection, you think, well, it's pretty typical. There's a little leak around this. It's very fixable. It's a couple $100. But to me, because I've seen it so much, when somebody is paying a lot of money for a house, that little leak, they get to thinking, what else did they not take care of? What else did they not do? And most of the time, when somebody makes their mind up that they are done with the house, it's best just to be their advocate and say, I understand you have that right, and let's move on to another one. And, a lot of times we try so hard to fight to keep these deals, and we end up becoming an advocate for the seller instead of the buyer, and you got to be real careful on that.
So here's what we're going to break down. We got a few people in the audience. Everybody, all 20 people here today.
Woo.
Everybody that's here today, we
You
appreciate
missed one,
you.
21.
21. We're going to talk about, I'm going to have some things that would really concern me. Stephen probably knows a lot more about the actual structure of a house. He's going to have things he's probably concerned about. But here's the one thing I think is very common. It's okay to admit this. A lot of times, buyers start negotiating these repairs. They don't even have to be fixed. They just want them fixed. They want to be in control. They don't want to feel like they're getting the shorter end of the stick. So here's something I think I'm going to point out things that really, really are deal killers. Everything usually on a house can be corrected. Everything can be fixed. So I'm very concerned about roofs. Roofs are expensive. Something else I think is very expensive are windows. See, you don't ever think about that, but weatherman, 15-year-old house, how much would it cost to go back in there and replace windows?
Probably
Hey, Kira, you
$500 to
watching this?
$7,500. Probably $7,000.
That is a very costly thing that you would never think about, are windows. Roof, windows, mechanicals such as your heating and air unit, your plumbing, your electrical. Those are things that you really, really need to pay attention to. Then let's move to the foundation.
These little cracks in the brick.
I mean, are those big? Those.
It depends on, and I'm not a structural engineer. And guys, remember this: the chances of you getting a structural engineer out in the time that you need the inspection done is probably not going to happen. Even the foundation guys are not structural engineers. It's very, very hard to get a structural engineer out there. So when you see a surface crack, it could be from settling, it could be from lintels above the windows, and so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a major foundation issue. It could literally be cosmetic. So before you jump to conclusions, now once you get into the block and inside, and you'll see cracks inside and windows don't open, that's where you may have had a shift. And guys, I hate to tell you, but if you live in Rutherford County, your house is going to settle, and it's going to do some moving.
Why is that?
But we have a lot of clay in Rutherford County.
So tell the average person out there that might be like me that don't know what that is.
So clay's the kind of
Is that
soil
stuff
we
you
got.
put in your hand,
Yes,
that little clay?
it's the dirt. What we got, what we live on, and so what happens is it like a roads, it moves. So if you put tens of thousands of pounds on a foundation that's not very solid and compacted, sometimes it shifts. And so that's what happens with the house in some of these areas. And it happens a lot in Rutherford County. The same thing that happens in Rutherford County that people don't know about is water. We have a lot of water around Rutherford County, swampy land. So there's a lot of water and moisture under houses in Rutherford County. So if you go under about 90% of the houses, you're going to see what it looks like. It's not mold, like it's little fungus type of stuff. Guess what? It's in a lot of houses in Rutherford County.
And you know, right now, me and you are talking about this much more from an educational piece. But if me and you were to put our buyer hats
I
on,
want it.
we would be freaking out right now.
Yeah.
It would be harder for us to digest this because emotions a lot of time are really fears that are not dealing with the current situation, but it's fear into the future about what is this going to cost me. So the reason why we have home inspections is to find that out. So what we're seeing, I was going to name you. You kind of cut me off there with me and tried to take over the show, but our show. So mine was the roof. What was my
The
roof?
AC, the windows,
The windows, foundation, mechanical
heating,
things.
electrical plumbing.
So I really think if you're going to sell your home, the best thing that you can do is you can go ahead and have these items pre-inspected. The reason why you're going to say, well, I don't want to do that. They're just going to find something anyway. Well, they probably are. You're probably right. But you can regulate emotions of the buyer so much more if you go ahead and have an inspection done. If you already know in your mind, if you've got a peace of mind, it will help you negotiate better. So I would definitely recommend getting a pre-inspection done. Whether, man, you're different about your philosophy on how a home should be inspected or what your mindset should be on a home inspection. So you're more from a construction.
Yeah, I'm not and nothing against home inspectors, and I promise, there's several of them we use. We use Ron Baker. I don't mind showing he takes great care of us. He's a great guy, does a great job for our buyers, and probably if I bought a house, I'd use him. But what I'm looking for is I would much rather hire an electrician, a plumber, an HVAC guy, and of course I know about roofs, to come out and check the nuts and bolts, because a lot of times we get wrapped up in home inspection over a lot of cosmetic stuff that is very minute and minor, because remember, you're paying somebody $400, $500 to spend 2 hours in a home and give you a snapshot of everything he can see and visible, and you'd be surprised on how many times we get wrapped up in some soffit issues or a window latch that's broke or something that's probably a couple $100, and we forget all about the whole house isn't grounded. And so it'll say, I recommend you, the plug works, but hey, I recommend you calling a licensed electrician, and next thing you know, the house ain't grounded. It's built in 1940 something, and the grounds ain't hooked up. So nothing against home inspectors, and I promise it's not to beat up, but I preferably would like to know about 4 or 5 main components that are going to cost me a lot of money, and foundation is one, roof's one, like Tommy said, AC, but AC's funny. You could have an AC that works for 5 years, and you can have one that works for 25 years, and you could buy a house tomorrow and it worked great, and the next day it goes out. It's happened to us. It's happened to you before, I guarantee you, that you sell somebody a house and within a month or so the air conditioner goes out.
Yeah.
Worked fine in the process, in the inspection, but that's my philosophy. And hey, guys, in this market, home inspections are kind of, you may not have the opportunity. And depending on what price point you're at, depends on, or how long the house has been on the market, depends on how much of a negotiation power you have too. So that's something to think about.
So here's the way it really works, and I'm very guilty. I'm not pointing out agents saying it's their fault, because I'm going to include myself and say this. I don't think I've done a good enough job to set people down and kind of tell them, here's how this could go, or this is what you should expect, this is what you should ask to be repaired. So they happen fast. They sneak up on you, and the next thing you know, you've got other things going on, and you have not set the proper expectations. So the buyers, a lot of times, we're complaining about what they're asking for, but it's really my fault because I have not told them before the inspection, look, here's how this is how this is going to go. Go step by step, telling them, explaining to them so they know for certain, for sure, how this is going to look, then what to ask for. We'll get back a home inspection report, and people will ask for everything.
Everything. 50 pages.
The only way they know how to answer what they want is, I want everything on here fixed. Well, that's unreasonable.
Very unreasonable. And the seller's probably not going to do it. They're just going to kick it back and say, hey, maybe this house isn't for you, unless it's a lot of little bitty nitpicky stuff that they can fix. But for the most part, they're not going to do it.
And on a report, I would really ask them to fix things that I don't want to fix. I didn't include this, but let's just say if you got a leak and there's some flooring that's been ruined, I would want that fixed.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get money for it, because that's one thing that we did talk about. A lot of times you always hear, well, how much money would they want? What if we give them $2,000? I strongly recommend you not doing that. Like Tommy said,
if you're the seller,
yeah.
I would strongly recommend doing that.
Yeah,
if you're
the buyer, yeah.
I would strongly recommend you not doing that.
Just for a simple fact of, are you going to do it? When are you going to have time to do it? You just bought this house. You think you're going to do it yourself. Getting somebody out there.
Well, $2,000 cover it.
Yeah.
You never know. And I would always do this. I would always go ahead and prep myself. If I'm going to do a home inspection and I'm going to ask for a list of repairs to be done, I'm going to want those re-inspected by my inspector to make sure they're done. A lot of times, very rarely do I see a re-inspection.
Very,
very, very rarely. Stevie, you're here. Do you have any questions? Our guy Stevie's a Visa.
Brad has said quite a few comments, and Brad
I
is
have
very
not seen one
and
comment.
Brad is very good. It said set the expectation up on the front end. And guys, those guys over at Elam Real Estate, they're very good about doing pre-inspections, and they use one of the toughest inspection companies out there. So they try to eliminate a lot of things on the back end. So it is very, very crucial. And us as agents in this fast-paced world we live in, Tommy said it best. We don't really give enough time to sit down and say, because from the time you buy the house, you're excited. Within 7 to 10 days, they've got the inspection, and it's a whirlwind. And so we miss out the opportunity to sit down and say, hey, look, guys, this is a previous inspection from another house. These are some things we're going to expect to look at. Let's talk about it before. So when we get those things, they said, okay, well, I remember you telling me about that. That makes sense. They're not caught off guard, because there's nothing worse than them seeing something and you never discussed it, like a foundation crack in the brick, that really it is nothing, but to them, the deal's off, this whole house is going to fall in, I'm out, get my earnest money back, and the discussion's over because we didn't spend the time with them.
Stevie, if you got anything you'd like to ask?
Well, I've heard two different ways. When you do get an inspection back, the seller doesn't want to see the whole inspection, right?
Why do
I
you think
would.
that's the case, though?
Because they would be, then they're disclosed to all their problems that they're having, and they would have to tell the next buyer if somebody
Exactly
didn't
right.
go through, right?
Yeah, most time there's in the disclosures, once you know about something and you don't disclose it, then you could be in trouble down the road. So if they said that you had a leaky bathroom faucet and then you didn't fix it, but you knew about it and you didn't disclose that, you could be in troubles, I think is what a lot of agents are worried about. That's why they only want what you want to be repaired.
Let me ask you this. If you went to the doctor and you had your physical and he could tell you you're about to have a heart attack, but would you want to know so you could do something about it?
Sure.
Well, I think you should take the same mindset whenever you're doing these home inspections, because if this person doesn't buy it, the next person you deal with, sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with it. If it's a major issue. Major issues are usually not going to be missed.
They're going to be caught.
The big issues will, unless I was going in there to inspect it or a weatherman was going under there, we would catch it. Or somebody else would catch it.
Most all the inspectors we have locally are very, very good. They catch the same thing. There's nothing any different than any one of them, in my opinion. So they're going to catch the big.
If they
the big
go under
item.
there and see water standing, there's water in there. Cousin Charlie, what would you like to ask? I know you're prepared.
Well, he's had a little whirlwind.
He's
so
dealing with some, and hey, buyers are not very logical in a home inspection proposal. They're not very logical. They're very emotional.
yeah,
They're going to ask if we could have somebody go out there and fix something. Let's say it's $800. They might say, we'll buy this house, but we want it at a $5,000 discount. They're not. They don't negotiate with logic. They're really only negotiating out of fear or
Yeah.
greed or some other type of emotion that just makes it tougher. But usually we can get it worked out.
a lot of times when somebody comes back with something that different, don't you agree that they're pretty much done, though? When they throw a crazy number out like that, their mind is pretty much
Could be
made up
Definitely.
because they really don't expect somebody to take it. And to give you an example, you sell a $220,000 house and you have some water in the crawl space. It literally could be fixed with a sump pump, $1,000. They say, well, I'll buy it, but they'll have to reduce the price $25,000.
Yeah, it's a lot harder behind the scenes than people would like to know.
Is there a reason why you may not want to do a home inspection?
Yeah, well, don't kill the deal.
Can you believe my girlfriend just called me?
Hey,
Can you believe that?
Hey, yeah, there's a big reason you don't want to do a home inspection. You won't sell a house. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
almost want to call her and ask.
Hey, what's her number? We'll call her on
I
live.
want to know.
Let's call her live right here on the
Well,
hotline.
I'm gonna FaceTime her. I want to know what she's thinking about calling.
This will be the unedited version of Real Estate 101. This is going to be very.
Baby,
Hey,
You are
point at
live.
me.
Hey,
You
you're-
know what time it
you
is.
know, you're live on Real Estate 101. What are you thinking? I cannot believe you're calling me during Real Estate 101.
But you look very lovely today.
I have my mouth full of food right now. I'm trying to pull.
Well, I can't believe you're calling me during Real Estate 101 hours.
Well, I'm so sorry. Let me get on so I can watch you.
I need my ratings up.
There we go.
I'm trying new stuff. Bye, baby. I love you.
Love you.
Bye.
They just called her out, folks, on live.
So,
TV.
well, she should know. Brittany Renee, you should know between the hour of 1 and 2 on Real Estate 101 days, you don't call me. You get online and you watch.
So let's ask this. Charlie made a
Charlie, why are you just now joining?
he had a great question. Is there what was the question again, Charlie?
Is there a situation where you may say we're going to forego a home inspection
As
There
a
you go.
buyer?
As a buyer.
as a buyer?
And as
Yes.
a buyer's agent.
Yes.
What would that be?
If you really, really want a house that's in great demand, that is a way that you could make it to where they won't take another offer. And a lot of times, the seller would be more enticed by your offer, not because of the fact that they may be hiding something. It's just the fact they don't want to have to deal with something that may cost $800 or $500 or $200. It's very stressful. Like if you were to sell your house, you would hate to go through 2 weeks of dealing with repairs. It's very inconvenient. So, yeah, I think when I bought my house, when me and Brittany bought our house, we didn't do a home inspection. She may not know that, but we did not do a home inspection because of the way I negotiated the deal. I told him I'll give you X, no home inspection. I made him an offer that was so easy.
He couldn't refuse.
So now I would say this: if you're buying a house, that here's another way I think you could negotiate it. If you're buying a house, you can say, "I'm just going to do this as is. I won't ask for repairs. I just want to make sure I don't need to put a new roof on. I don't have a foundation problem. I don't have other problems that are going to cost me a lot of money." It's really what it does. Here's Stevie.
You get peace of mind.
Here's what it really does. A home inspection adds another out for you to get out of. That's what it does. Whenever you're buying a house, it just adds a contingency. Hey, it gives you a get out of jail free card. I got 10 days to really decide if I want this house. Mm-hmm. So the deal is not locked up. It really ain't locked up until you close and get your money. But a home inspection, what it does, it postpones the commitment. You are to type that. Hey, folks, you should type that up there. It postpones your commitment.
Wow, you are a genius.
Thank you, weatherman. Any other questions? Kevin Davis, our friend. Not the realtor Kevin Davis, but the real
Well, he's
Kevin
our
Davis.
friend, too. We just ain't heard from him in a while.
Do you have any questions? Because you might have an opinion on this.
No, I would say it's just as a, not in real estate, as a buyer and seller, I know as a buyer, I'm able to overlook the little things, and whenever I do a home inspection, as I've done probably 3 or 4, I guess, in my young life, I was just I was primarily concerned with major issues.
Yeah.
A chink in a spindle on a staircase, something like that didn't bother me.
See, the problem is on home inspection. I'm sounding loud, or is my voice just getting better? The problem is you're going into an unknown negotiation. The buyer does not know what's wrong with the home, and honestly, the seller a lot of times does not know what's wrong with the home. So you're going into really you could live in this house for 10 years, and you might not know that you've had termites eating dinner with you every night. You might not know that, like I owned a home one time that I lived in. I didn't know it, but it had wind damage. The home inspector went out there, and they's like, "Hey, dude, you got to get a new roof." I'm like, hold up now. Why? So I got my insurance company out there, and luckily they did provide the new roof, but I never would have guessed that that we had wind damage on the house. So usually you are not aware of the problems that will come up during these reports. A lot of times you just don't know. It's kind of like when you go to the doctor and the doctor does blood work and he comes back and says you got type 2 diabetes.
Ooh.
Like what happened to me. I thought, man, I'm perfectly healthy. Although I was 45 pounds overweight and I was a fat guy that was eating chicken wings, french fries, and drinking a lot of beer, I didn't know that was going to come back, and I was shocked. thought his report was wrong. Hey, let's retest that. Oh, well, we've run the numbers several times, Mr. Tommy, and you are diabetic. Any other question? Kathleen, you've been through this process, and you do understand what I'm saying. So what kind of question?
I was not aware you could do a re-inspection.
You need to always do a re-inspection to make sure. What if you had me go out there and do the repairs? What if I went out there and said, okay, we fixed this, and you had a good time down there? Hey, Kevin Davis was talking to me at lunch today saying I don't know enough about it.
But remember, you have to pay for that. Most of the time the re-inspection is not free, so.
$75 to $100.
Right, negotiate that on the front end.
It ain't free.
The buyer pays that?
Yeah,
The buyer pays that, yeah. So,
you don't want the seller paying for it.
and so remember, a home inspection is about $400. If you do a re-inspection, it could be upwards around $500. But if it gives you, and I don't mind calling Kevin Davis out, but he discourages buying something
Not that Kevin Davis.
from opinion of not doing a home inspection because he's a buyer. He wouldn't buy anything without a home inspection because you just wouldn't feel right. Am I saying that correctly? Yeah, and so that's how a lot of buyers think. And as real estate agents, we tend to try to, go both sides on that because we see it every day. But literally how Kevin is thinking is how 95% of the buyers are thinking as well. I just don't feel comfortable if I buy this without doing an inspection. I won't be able to sleep. I'll think something's wrong, and then lo and behold, something pops up. Then what? Then, hey, everybody's mad at everybody.
Another problem I see with home inspections is a lot of times the buyer seeks out counsel from so many different places.
Yeah.
They talk to their agent. They talk to their friend. They talk to whoever will listen to them. And I can almost guarantee you this, nobody's going to give you the same opinion. We could ask, there's 23 of us in here now. We could come up with probably about.
You missed it. You keep missing that 24th one right there. I don't know what.
Do you know how many different opinions we would have about this? Nobody's going to have the same opinion.
No, but
Very rarely.
At the end of the day, it's whatever you're going to be able to live with when you go to sleep at night is what you should do. Don't second guess anything. If you feel strongly about it, if you feel strongly about not buying a house because something you don't like, sometimes you have to go through 2 or 3 of these things before you realize that every house is the same.
But let me ask you this, weatherman. What if your client does not feel good about it, but in your heart you feel like they're wrong?
Well, at the end of the day, my opinion is my opinion, and my job is to represent them. So I have to be very careful on trying to persuade, and I'll always give my opinion.
Because I'm going to use this as an example. Every time I get on an airplane, I'm telling myself, dude, don't get on this plane. It's going to crash. Mm-hmm. Every time. Sometimes I've known for sure it's going to crash. Just knew it. I was reliving it in my brain over and over and over again. But a lot of times, what we're fearful of never happens.
But what helps you from that fear?
Vodka.
So let's just bring that to all the home inspection talks.
Vodka never lets me down.
Hey, we bring vodka
never.
to all the home inspection negotiations. We're good.
But you're looking at data.
Yeah.
Wait till you see the facts. Like me and Cousin Charlie were talking about this file the other day. This guy was allowing fear to make his decision. He didn't even know the facts. He hadn't even seen the home inspection report yet, and he was already concerned, I'm buying a money pit.
Yeah, but he's thinking the same way that most buyers
I would be thinking the same thing.
No different than when you buy a used car or you buy something. Every time I buy a used car, first thought in my head is this thing could break down tomorrow and I'll lose every bit of my money. It's as is. When you buy a house, guess what? It's as is unless it's brand new construction, and then it's as is after a year. So it's a very, very, very big decision, and if you can feel good about it, do it. If you can't feel good about it, that's just my opinion. I'm going to give you the facts of the matter. What you're seeing on every home inspection is very, very typical. I've never seen a home inspection yet that the home inspector said, hey, I can't find nothing wrong with this house.
It's impossible. Building codes people go through and find things. I mean, problems start from the day it's built. So I do want to leave you with this. The demand of the property determines how much wiggle room or negotiation you're going to have on that home inspection. So let's just say if I've got a home out here that everybody wants and Stevie's got a client that wants it and they want to do a home inspection, I might say no. I don't want to deal with your people. Cousin Charlie, do you have somebody? Oh, they want a home inspection. Okay, Stephen, do you have? Oh, okay. Well, we'll deal with you, Stephen. I might even be able to. I might even consider selling it for a little bit less because, excuse me, Chappie's is coming back. Champies or whatever's coming back.
Champions.
I would not want to deal with the ups and downs. And again, a home inspection is delaying the commitment. That's all it's doing. So I want somebody that's committed to the house.
And you also got to know, it's the same emotions on both sides of the transaction.
Yes.
So you have 4 emotions most of the time. If you got great realtors, then you don't have, they can put the emotions out of it. But you got a buyer's agent that's dealing with emotion. You got the buyer dealing with it. You got the seller dealing with it, and you got the seller's agent dealing with it. So now if the both realtors have the same kind of emotions as the buyer and seller, you're going to have a roller coaster of a ride.
And you also have family members. You got sneaky people not saying who they are. You got masked marauders telling people what to do. The unspoken people saying, ask for this, I wouldn't do that. All the things that a buyer hears, it goes into their mind, and then somehow it's in their conscience or subconscious, and it leads them to feel a certain way. So your family, your friends, whoever are going to tell you things they think you need to hear, but what if they're wrong? It leads to these decisions. So I think whenever you do a home inspection, you should do one first off. But I do think you should have a talk with your realtor and kind of have hey, I wrote this down. Whoa, I almost forgot this valuable piece of information. You ready? It's very hard. I'm going to read this out like Rocky Balboa. It's very hard to simulate the emotions of a home inspection report until you get into the report. You ever heard you can't simulate speed like football in practice? You cannot. Tennessee could not simulate the Georgia Tech offense in practice. They couldn't deal with it until they played it in a game. You cannot. You don't know how you're going to feel about a home inspection until you go through it.
I agree. Until you get that report back that shows everything.
You just don't know how it's going to make you feel. You don't know how you're going to react because our decisions are usually made trying to use logic. Home inspection creates a lot of emotion. Yes, sir, you over there.
The re-inspection, do you typically, to steal Weatherman's word a while ago, do you typically get the same inspector out there?
Yes, you do.
What if he can't make it? What if he can't do it? He's too booked?
You book it at the time you book the inspection.
Is that
That's the best way because
it's a negotiation.
They're all pretty busy right now. So if I'm doing it, I'm booking it. 3 days before we close, or like the contract says. All these things have to be done once you agreed on them, and I'm doing it. Make sure that it falls in that guideline. And then most of the time that they're going to fix it. And so it'll be done. But if you do it, the chance of you getting that same one.
I didn't know we've had some questions. Owen Truck's got a question.
I was just mesmerized
Charlie,
by
are you
your
here?
knowledge today.
Hey, Owen Truck wants to know what are the top 10 things a home inspector will look at on a very old house.
First thing, definitely wiring. Wiring is a big issue in an old house. Windows is a big issue in an old house. And let me tell you why wiring in a fuse panel, because they got these little glass circle fuses a lot of time if they've not been updated, and this wire electrical that everybody thinks will start a fire. In my opinion, a house built in 1800 is still standing today with that stuff. It's probably stronger than the stuff we're using now, but for some reason we are fearful of it.
So wiring, plumbing, I would look at
Roof.
heating and air, roof.
Insulation.
I would also look to see if there's if asbestos, I think, are on a lot of those old houses.
Foundation, because a lot of those things are actually built on
Piers. Or
and
something.
piers and like wood. It's real fun if you look under a house. They're held up by blocks of wood and then rocks, like just rocks. So definitely very different.
I think another thing, Owen, on inspecting of an old house is I think if you already live in it or you're buying one, I think there's just a lot of things you'll never know until you get in it and you start trying to remodel stuff. I mean, I always would assume you're going to underbid what you think it's going to cost. I'd want to know about drywall. What kind of drywall? How hard would it cost to make improvements?
That wood is hard.
Yeah.
And you know, most people that redo an old house, $100,000 is just a drop in the bucket.
Oh, I mean, it can get you can get into some great multiples of, hey, I thought it was going to cost me $25,000, but we did this, and then we found this, and then it led to this. So there's a lot of risk there, but you know what? Like Steven said, a lot of times these homes have been standing that long and they've been fine. It really goes back to our emotions, because when we buy a house, it's hard to admit this, but we want to think it's perfect. And it's not. It's a house. It's built with people, and it's used with imperfect materials. So more than likely, you're gonna, and like Steven's saying, we're in an area where our ground moves around. So if it goes back to that analogy, if you lived in that old house, you would feel like, hey, this house is fine. If you were buying that same old house, you have an inspection, you might be like, I ain't buying this house.
You know, the one thing we left out, I know we went long, the main part about inspection, you got to remember, when you inspect a house, you really only have to beat the code to the year that house was built. So most inspectors now inspect it to today's codes.
Yep.
So if you buy a 1989 house, it doesn't mean you have to bring the house up to codes, and a lot of times we want that, but it's not fair to the person that owns a house, because when the house was built, it was built to codes, it passed, and that was the way it was. And we see that a lot in home inspections, because they want something to today's codes, and the homeowner didn't have to have it.
And here's something else that annoys me with people on TV whenever they go in there and they remodel homes and they bring in a home inspector and he gets to stay there like a week.
Yeah.
You know, he's there for like a week. Oh, man, this home inspector missed this. Well, I've been here 7 days and I found it. Well, like you said, Stephen, like you said, Weatherman, home inspectors are there like 2 hours, and then people don't want them to miss anything. You're paying $400 and you want to hold them to so much that's not fair. So, guys, that's all we got for the day. Hey, big guy, John C. Jones in the house. Want to give a big shout-out to you. Go Balls. What a buyer should ask for on a home inspection.
We should ask for as far as repairs.
Yep.
You feeling good for this weekend?
Let's talk.
Since I'm a listing agent,
Yep.
most part, not a damn thing.
Hey, tell us the keys to victory this week.
Strong running game. Be able to
Strong.
stop their running game. Win turnover battle.
Coach speak.
Kicking game.
Score more points. All right, guys.
Complimentary football.
Hey, guys, thank you so much. Let's go ahead and shut this thing.
Buying or finding a new home should not be stressful or boring. With over 14 years experience, Good Time Tommy has spent his time building strategies, tips, and content that will help you, the new homeowner or seasoned homeowner, get the best deal for your money. Educate, navigate, and celebrate. Because whether you're buying or selling, you're going to get more traffic to your property promotion on every channel, and watch as Tommy and his team work until you are satisfied. Your new home awaits you with Good Time Tommy and his team. Subscribe.